Welcome to another enthralling episode of Monday Movie Pickup. I just finished reading Quentin Tarantino's cinema speculation book. He just has a lot of essays in here about different movies. Some popular, some not so popular, some that I've never heard of. He brings up a lot of great tidbits in there. I think the last chapter, which is just the entire chapter is a footnote for the other last chapter of the book. And it's by far the most interesting thing in the entire book. The whole book is full of interesting stuff, but that final chapter, I'm like, wow, this is really... it gives you a lot of insight into Quentin Tarantino himself. One of the movies he talked about was Paradise Alley. This is Sylvester Stallone's first movie he directed, and from what I read, it looks like it's also the first movie he wrote. And it seems as though it was a little underappreciated in its time, but I'm going to give it a watch, and it was actually part of the Shout Select collection. So it just so happens that I've been getting these movies, and one of the movies that was talked about in that book is also part of Shout Select. So we also have here the Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 1. I think a majority of these shorts have never appeared on Blu-ray before. There might have been in other DVD releases, but they've never, from comparing it to the Platinum Collection releases, it doesn't look like any of these shorts have been included before. This is a Warner Archive exclusive, and it's being done for Warner Brothers' 100th anniversary. Hopefully, if this sells well enough, there will be a Volume 2. I don't know if there's already plans for one, but this is Volume 1. I'm making sure to support it because I'd like to see more of the Looney Tunes hit Blu-ray. Hellraiser. This was just kind of a budget buy. It was a pretty low price on Arrow, and I've never actually seen the Hellraiser movies. I've heard a lot about them. I know they have many sequels. Some I've heard are good. Some I heard are not so great. But there's the back cover, which is the original artwork. The only thing I really know about the first movie is that it doesn't really have anything to do with Pinhead. He doesn't really take over the series until the second one, from what I've heard. Criterion. So these were actually not purchased as part of the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. That's going on right now in July. They usually do it every year in July and November. This might be the first month in many years that I'm not actually going to go for the month of July. I might go in November, but just for now, there wasn't anything that I thought I needed to get immediately. So instead, I got these Blu-rays. Now, I had a bunch of coupons from the Criterion channel since I've been subscribed to it since the inception of that streaming service. They give out coupons to those members. So I had all these coupons that I kind of forgot about. They were all still effective. So I put them all in at once and got 2 Blu-rays for basically $10. Age of Innocence is one of them. This is the Martin Scorsese directed film. And another one of those Martin Scorsese movies I have yet to see. But the one I was really looking forward to was After Hours. So this one, for many years, notoriously did not have a Blu-ray release, not in the United States anyway. And Criterion finally announced it, and this is primarily the reason why I was looking at the website, and then I decided to use those coupons. So I ordered this a few months ago through pre-order, but it finally came through, and for its release, I think it was just released this past month. You can go get it at the Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble, but I did watch this movie last night. It's a very interesting movie. One of the few straight-up comedies that Martin Scorsese has done. All of his movies have comedic moments in them, but this is by far the most, comedic, even though it's very surreal. But I can see, why a lot of people find it to be a bit off-putting, because it's kind of what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be an off-putting movie. That would be everything, except I did get a major Blu-ray haul. This was so many different titles, and actually half of the box I already owned the movies, but I got this box for free. Someone gave them to me, so I got all these other movies, and yeah, what we got here, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of movies. I have them all alphabetized, so I'm basically going to go just one by one through them. A lot of these titles are ones that I think a lot of early Blu-ray adopters added to their collection, ones that I didn't get to since I was about, I would say 5 or 6 years late to starting a Blu-ray collection, and even then I didn't really start growing it until about a decade into Blu-ray. Alright, we have 8 Mile, the Eminem movie that, surprisingly, I have never seen before. And also, all these have $2 stickers on it. I just want to make everyone aware I did not buy these movies for $2 each. They were going to be sold. No one bought them. They were given to me. The big hit. This This is a movie I've never actually heard of before, but as you can tell from the scheme of the Blu-ray, this is one of the early Blu-ray releases from Sony. Black Hawk Down, which many years ago when Blu-ray started, they often would say this is one of the best Blu-rays that you can own. Black Sheep. I've actually never seen this movie. I've seen Tommy Boy a few times, never saw Black Sheep. So this is going to be a good one to finally watch for the first time. It doesn't look like there's any special features. Doesn't surprise me, but yeah, there's none. Bone Tomahawk. I've actually seen this movie before. We talked about it on the Cinema Swamp podcast. It was part of Chloe's Horror Corner. So this was one of the movies she chose, and it's a very cool movie. It's a movie that they don't really make these types of movies anymore. The Book of Eli. I've never really heard many people talk about this movie except for my friend who I do the podcast with. He has always really dug this movie ever since we were kids. So when it first came out, I know he was a big fan, and I've never gotten to see it. So it's about time that gets added. The Buttercream Gang. I don't know much about this movie. I thought that this was only available on VHS, so I don't know if this is like a bootleg or some other kind of release, but I've heard of it before, and I think I've seen some different YouTubers review it, so I think it's one of those like notoriously bad movies. You have the Care Bears movie, which I mistakenly thought was on Blu-ray. This is the 25th anniversary, the limited edition in the pink casing. And actually what I found out was the first movie is still only on DVD, but the Blu-ray release is for the second movie. They released the second one on Blu-ray, but not the first. We have The Condemned with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know anything else about it, but there's an early Lionsgate Blu-ray. Drowning Mona. This is only on DVD, so this is the only way to get it currently. Danny DeVito's in the film, and we got discs flying out. Don't worry, the disc is all scratched up, it looks like. It's a double-sided disc, so maybe one of them will work pretty well. I don't have big hope for that one. Envy. I remember this movie getting promoted at the time, and recently it was released through Shout Factory, so I might have to give it a watch. I don't think I ever saw it when it originally came out, but I do have a lot of memories of the trailers, just because the concept of it seemed pretty silly. Event Horizon. This actually has a Shout release that I've been meaning to get, but this is the original Blu-ray release, and you know, why not? This is a great movie. This was also done as part of Chloe's Horror Corner on our Cinema Swamp, so got a lot of great horror movies out of this, and this is an incredibly unique movie. You have Falling Down with Michael Douglas. All I know about this one is that there was a digibook release of this, but it has the exact same special features, so you're fine either way. The Fifth Element. This actually has a new 4K Blu-ray release, so I don't know if the 4K includes different special features, but this is one of those movies that it seems that everybody has in their collection, and I've never seen the movie. I've been waiting way too long to see that one. Furry Vengeance, which has become a big joke of Brendan Fraser's when he was on his Oscar campaign. So I remember this movie getting promoted and never seen it, and it was kind of the last thing everybody saw of Brendan Fraser before his big comeback this past year. So Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage. Another one that I've seen a lot of times in people who are older, who have older Blu-ray collections. I always have this one in there. This is a remake of an earlier movie, and I've actually seen neither, so I'd like to see the original before I watch this one. Half Past Dead, I know that this one actually does have a Blu-ray release, so maybe if I like the movie enough, I will upgrade it. But I don't really know much about this one at all. I, Robot, very popular Will Smith movie, back when he was doing like a Will Smith movie every year. And I feel like this is one of the few I never actually got to see, and I've seen a lot of it, but I've never seen the full movie. If Looks Could Kill. This is an unopened Warner Archive DVD release. This does not have a Blu-ray, so this is the only way to get this movie currently, and it's unopened, so I never even got to watching it. I don't know anything else about the movie, but hey, here's another unopened release. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. This is actually an animated series, and I know, again, know nothing about it, but this just interests me. The quality of the animation just looks very like Saturday Morning-esque, so I'm assuming this is just some forgotten Saturday morning show from the 70s or 80s. In fact, if I look on the back, actually it's the 90s, 1991. The Ladykillers. This is actually one I did see in theaters. This does not have a Blu-ray release. I really wish it would get one, but it's done by Touchstone, so now that's kind of making sense to me, because a lot of Touchstone movies have gone unreleased due to Disney or whoever has the rights to release Touchstone movies at the moment. Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, also known as the Zack Snyder Owl movie that I never saw, and I thought as a kid when it was coming out that it looked kind of dumb. All these years later, knowing who Zack Snyder is, I'm kind of interested to see it because he made an owl movie, an animated movie. Legion. This is another one that I've heard a lot about and I've never gotten to see. I actually saw this movie with a friend in theaters, and the scene where they're falling down the hill for like ever was one of the most unintentionally funny scenes that I've ever seen in a war movie. Major League, yes, another movie that I have not seen. The Wild Thing edition, because I know that song is in the movie. I know that at least. See, I've seen like the first like few minutes of that movie on TV one time. Men of Honor. A movie that every time I look at it, I forget that Robert De Niro's in the cover because I'm so focused on Cuba Gooding Jr. Moving and Grease Lightning. So I have a couple other Richard Pryor movies on Blu-ray. These ones are not available on Blu-ray. They're only on DVD. It actually comes with 2 movies on one disc. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the movie that was mostly famous for causing the divorce of Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, right? I mean, that's all people really ever talked about with this movie. I don't even feel like people really ever talked about the movie itself, and I've seen this movie when I was younger. Again, probably was too young to watch it. Nitro Circus Season 1. This seems more, likely to be in one of my friends' collections versus mine, but I do remember watching this show when I'd be at friends' houses as a kid. So, No Holds Barred, the Hulk Hogan documentary. This is going to be like the first thing from WWE that's actually in my collection. I guess it's about time because WWE is like something that I've never dug into. Oblivion. Yes, I have to see this movie. First of all, I'm adding to my Tom Cruise collection, which is great. That is an actor that I would love to own a lot of Blu-rays from. If not all of his movies at some point. I'd love to own them all. But also, this is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick. Parental Guidance. I remember when the trailers for this movie were coming out, and I just couldn't figure out why Billy Crystal was in this movie. The Patriot. Roland Emmerich and Mel Gibson. Man, a match made in heaven. I actually mistakenly thought that Mel Gibson had directed this movie, but no, it's Roland Emmerich. And since it's apparently period piece, I have no idea what to expect from it because it's Roland Emmerich. I'm used to his type of movie. This doesn't seem like his type of movie, so I have no idea what to expect of that one. Paycheck with Ben Affleck, so can't go wrong with a Ben Affleck movie. I'm a fan, and I haven't actually seen this one, so Pleasantville. This is one I've been meaning to see for years. I'm so happy to own this one now. Just the whole concept of the movie from hearing about it over the years. It fascinates me, and I've been holding off watching it for way too long. We have Priest. Don't know much about this one at all. The remake of Red Dawn, so I'm sure everybody loves this one. I should watch the original before I watch that one, though. Rain on Fire. Man, Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale together at last. The Rock, as everyone says, is Michael Bay's best movie. And I've actually been meaning to watch this one. Been waiting for it to pop up on the streaming service, but now I own the frickin' movie, so I can finally give it a watch. Paul Walker in Running Scared. I never had heard of this movie, and it even has a Blu-ray release, but this is an unopened DVD, and I'll get to it at some point, but I really don't know what to expect with that. The only other Paul Walker movie I feel like I've seen besides all the Fast and Furious movies is 8 Below. Snowboard Academy with Jim Varney. That probably was the only reason that this movie was originally bought, because this one is also unopened. It's an unopened DVD. Sphere! Man, these titles. Dustin Hoffman and Samuel L. Jackson with Sharon Stone? Really? Barry Levinson directed? And I've never heard of it. Oh. Know nothing about this one. Yes, I have seen Stand By Me. I like Stand By Me. I've never owned Stand By Me, so it's about time this one got added to my collection. I've probably been waiting a bit too long to get this one. The original Stargate, which has spawned an entire franchise that, I mean, given the fact that I don't hear many people talk about Stargate, it's amazing how much of a franchise it spawned. Is anybody watching the television show? Is there still a television show airing at the moment? Another Roland Emmerich movie. I think I might be close to owning every Roland Emmerich movie at this point. The Stepfather. I mean, come on. It's called The Stepfather. This is the unrated director's cut. Swiss Family Robinson. This is just the DVD, but there is a Blu-ray release of this from Disney Movie Club, but I'm guessing it does not include all the special features that are on this 2-disc release, so it's actually probably a good thing that I own this one. Tattoo Nation, which is apparently a documentary, so yeah, that's pretty cool that there's actually a documentary in this pile. The Watch. This is directed by Akiva Schaffer. He directed my all-time favorite movie, Hot Rod. He also directed the very good Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie that's on Disney+. I highly recommend you give that a watch. But speaking of Watch, The Watch got kind of screwed over with its marketing at the time. A lot of people ended up missing this one. And I also heard, though, it's not very good, so I mean, that probably doesn't help. I've kind of avoided it for that reason, but then again, like, at the time, Hot Rod didn't get the best of reviews, so maybe people were just overlooking this back in 2012. Woohoo! We got Wild Wild West. Oh boy, yes, Barry Sonnenfeld, his big follow-up to Men in Black. I've heard so much about this movie, and yet have never seen it. I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where I finally watch it and I'll probably enjoy the hell out of it. And then last but not least, Your Highness. Another one that I hear is quite bad, but you know, I love Pineapple Express. How can a movie from the director of Pineapple Express be bad? Well, that is everything this week. Almost too much this week. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the video, and special shout out to Lauren, Anthony, Anna, Kirsten, Spencer, Lucas, Ryan, and Robert for the support on Patreon. By joining my Patreon, you can get exclusive videos and blogs, and for only $7, you can request your own movie review. I hope you stick around, cinephile, and have a happy, productive day.